When we hear the word crazy, or its local equivalent, baliw, it often carries a heavy, negative weight. It's a word used to dismiss, to label, and sometimes, to hurt. But what does it truly mean when someone's mental state is different from what we consider normal? This term is a sensitive topic because it oversimplifies a very complex human experience. It paints a picture of someone who is unpredictable, perhaps even dangerous, without any understanding of their inner world. Using such a loaded term creates a wall between people, preventing genuine connection and empathy. It's a label that sticks, making it harder for individuals to seek the help they need and deserve, fearing judgment and misunderstanding from the very people who should be supporting them. We must move beyond these simple, harmful labels. Mental health is just like physical health. It exists on a spectrum. No one is perfectly healthy all the time, and similarly, no one's mental state is constant. To call someone crazy is to ignore the vast and intricate landscape of human emotions and brain function. It's like calling everyone with a cough terminally ill. The term is not only medically inaccurate but also deeply dehumanizing. It strips away a person's identity, reducing them to a single misunderstood trait. This prevents us from seeing them as a whole person, someone with hopes, dreams, fears, and the capacity for joy and sorrow just like anyone else. Our language shapes our reality, and by choosing more compassionate and accurate words, we can begin to build a more understanding world for everyone. Imagine living in a world where a core part of your experience is misunderstood and mocked. This is the reality for many who live with mental health conditions. The word crazy becomes a weapon used against them, reinforcing feelings of shame and isolation. It's a term born from a lack of knowledge and an abundance of fear. We fear what we don't understand. And for centuries the workings of the human mind have been a profound mystery. But as our understanding grows, so should our compassion. We now know that mental health conditions are illnesses, not character flaws or signs of weakness. They are medical issues that require care, treatment, and support, not scorn and ridicule. Therefore, our first step in breaking the stigma is to change the way we talk. Let's retire outdated and hurtful words from our vocabulary. Instead of labeling, let's learn. Instead of judging, let's listen. When we encounter someone who is struggling, let's approach them with kindness and an open mind. Let's ask ourselves how we can help, rather than how we can label them. By consciously choosing our words, we can start to dismantle the stigma, brick by brick. This simple act of changing our language can create a safe space where people feel comfortable sharing their stories and seeking the help that can transform their lives for the better. It is a small change with a powerful, life-affirming impact. A person's mental health journey is not a straight line, and its challenges don't come from a single source. There is no simple reason why someone develops a mental health condition like depression, schizophrenia, or bipolar disorder. Instead, it's a complex interplay of different factors, a web of influences that are unique to each individual. First, we have biological factors. These can include our genetics, meaning a history of mental illness in the family can sometimes increase a person's risk. It can also involve the chemistry of our brain, the balance of chemicals called neurotransmitters that regulate our moods, thoughts, and behaviors. An imbalance in these chemicals can contribute to conditions like depression or anxiety. It's a biological reality, as real as diabetes or heart disease. Next, we must consider psychological factors. Our life experiences, especially those from our childhood, play a significant role in shaping our mental resilience and vulnerabilities. Trauma, such as abuse, neglect, or witnessing a terrifying event, can leave deep scars on our psyche, making us more susceptible to conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder or anxiety. Our individual thought patterns also matter. A tendency towards negative thinking, low self-esteem, or poor coping skills can create a cycle that is difficult to break without help. These are not choices people make. They are often learned patterns of thinking and feeling that have developed over time as a way to survive difficult circumstances. Understanding this helps us see the person, not just the illness. Finally, we cannot ignore the powerful influence of social and environmental factors. The world we live in can either support our mental well-being or contribute to its decline. Living in poverty, facing discrimination, or experiencing social isolation can create chronic stress that wears down our mental defenses. A lack of a strong support system, family, friends, and community, can make it incredibly hard to navigate life's challenges. For example, someone who loses their job, goes through a painful breakup, or grieves a loved one without anyone to turn to, is at a much higher risk of developing depression. Our environment, our relationships, and our place in society are all deeply connected to our state of mind. Putting it all together, we see that a mental health condition is not a sign of personal failure. No one chooses to have schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. It's the result of a combination of biological predispositions, psychological experiences, and social circumstances that are often beyond a person's control. Someone might have a genetic vulnerability, experienced a traumatic event, and lack a supportive community. This perfect storm of factors can lead to the development of a mental health condition. Recognizing this complexity is crucial. It moves us away from blame and towards a more compassionate and effective approach to mental health care, one that addresses the whole person in their unique context. It is very important to understand that enjoying solitude is not the same as suffering from a mental illness. There is a common misconception that someone who is quiet, reserved, or prefers to spend time alone must be depressed or crazy. This confuses a personality trait, introversion, with a state of distress. Introverts are people who recharge their energy through quiet time and reflection. They can be perfectly happy, healthy, and socially skilled, but they simply find large crowds and constant social interaction draining. They might have a small, close-knit circle of friends rather than a large group of acquaintances. Being an introvert is a natural way of being in the world, not a symptom of a problem that needs to be fixed. On the other hand, social isolation, which can be a symptom or a cause of mental health issues, is a painful experience. It's the feeling of being lonely and disconnected from others, even when you are surrounded by people. While an introvert chooses solitude and finds it restorative, a person experiencing isolation craves connection but is unable to achieve it. This feeling of being cut off can be a major trigger for depression and anxiety. It's a state of unwanted loneliness that can feel like a heavy weight, making every day a struggle. The key difference is choice and feeling. Introversion is a preference, while isolation is a painful absence of connection. We must not mistake one for the other. Confusing these two concepts is harmful because it can lead to unnecessary worry and judgment. We might push an introverted friend or family member to be more social, believing we are helping them, when in reality, we are disrespecting their natural temperament and causing them stress. This pressure to conform to an extroverted ideal can make introverts feel like there is something wrong with them, which can, ironically, contribute to feelings of anxiety and low self-esteem. We need to celebrate all personality types and understand that there is no single right way to be. A quiet person reading a book can be just as mentally healthy as a loud person at a party. Therefore, instead of making assumptions based on how social someone is, we should pay attention to signs of genuine distress. Does the person seem sad, listless, or have they lost interest in activities they once enjoyed? Have they expressed feelings of hopelessness or worthlessness? These are far more reliable indicators of a potential mental health struggle than their preference for a quiet evening at home. Respecting someone's introversion while also being available for them if they are truly struggling with isolation is the most supportive thing we can do. It shows that we see them for who they are and that we care about their actual well-being, not just how they appear on the surface. Human beings are social creatures. From the very beginning of our lives, we depend on others for survival, and this need for connection continues throughout our lifetime. Having someone to talk to, someone who listens without judgment, is one of the most powerful tools we have for maintaining good mental health. When we share our worries, fears, and joys, we are not just venting, we are processing our emotions and validating our experiences. This simple act of communication can make our burdens feel lighter. It reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. A strong support system, be it family, friends, or a community group, acts as a safety net, catching us when we fall and giving us the strength to get back up. Unfortunately, the stigma and discrimination surrounding mental health often destroy this vital support system. Stigma is a mark of shame that sets someone apart, and when it's attached to mental illness, it can be devastating. It leads to discrimination in many areas of life, from finding a job to securing housing or even being treated with respect by others. People with mental health conditions are often unfairly seen as incompetent, unreliable, or dangerous. This prejudice isolates them further, making it incredibly difficult to reach out for help. They fear being rejected by loved ones, losing their jobs, or being treated differently by society. This fear is a prison, trapping them in silence with their suffering. The impact of this stigma is profound. It worsens the very conditions it judges. When someone with depression is told to just snap out of it, or someone with anxiety is told to just relax, it invalidates their illness and deepens their sense of hopelessness. This lack of understanding can prevent them from seeking professional treatment, leading to a worsening of their symptoms. The constant battle against both their internal illness and external prejudice is exhausting. It takes a tremendous toll on their spirit, making recovery a much harder and lonelier road. We are, in effect, punishing people for being ill, which is something we would never do for someone with cancer or heart disease. To build a healthier society, we must actively fight this stigma. The solution begins with empathy, education, and open conversation. We must educate ourselves and others about the realities of mental health conditions, understanding them as legitimate illnesses. We must choose to be kind, to offer a listening ear instead of a judgmental glance. We can all be allies by creating safe spaces where people feel comfortable sharing their vulnerabilities. When we see someone struggling, let's ask, "Are you okay?" and be prepared to listen to the answer. By showing understanding, offering support, and refusing to judge, we can dismantle the walls of stigma and build bridges of compassion in their place. This is how we heal, not just as individuals, but as a community.